Shalom. Hitler believed that if you tell enough lies long enough, people will start to believe them. The world tells so many lies about Israel, and I hate to just keep playing defense, but you've got to expose the lies and then watch my videos on making the case for Israel as the greatest country in the world per capita by far. But anyway, in terms of this series of lies, they tell lie number 4. They say that nuclear Israel, not Iran, is the greatest threat to peace and stability. The whole world is pretty happy that Israel has nuclear weapons because they know that it's a major deterrent to the fanaticism and extremism in the Middle East. On the other hand, who does not believe outside of Iran that when Iran gets nuclear bombs, they already have missiles that can reach all of Europe? They'll be reaching the United States and within 5 years. You don't think they're going to use them? You don't think they're going to slip dirty bombs to terrorists to plant in New York and L.A. and Chicago? Of course they will. They're not a mutually assured destruction worry. They said, the president openly said, we can lose 15 million people in a couple of nuclear strikes. This is a 1,000-year war we're dealing with here. Line number 5. Israel's an apartheid state. What a joke. It's the freest country in the world. Arabs want to live there from all over the world. They're the freest Arabs anywhere. The 20% of the Arab minority, the 20% Arab minority enjoys political, economic, and religious rights and freedoms and citizenship. They're elected to the Knesset. What rights do Arabs have in any Arab country? And certainly no Jews have any rights, or Christians. Saudi Arabia doesn't allow churches. Jordan, it's against the law, capital punishment, to sell land to a Jew. And they call Israel an apartheid state. It's the freest country in the world. Palestinian gays flee to Tel Aviv to be safe. Women have the freest rights of any people in the world. In an Arab country, can you get a fair trial? Are politicians ever prosecuted? It's ridiculous. Line number 6. That the plans to build the 1,600 homes in East Jerusalem prove Israel is Judaizing the holy city. This whole flap and ridiculous Obama tirade against Israel was just obnoxious and completely wrong. The homes that were built were in northern Israel. There's already 250,000 Jews, and there's nobody who believes that that section of Jerusalem is ever going to be Arab. Everybody agrees in the final status it's going to be a Jewish area. So it's just ridiculous for the administration to go hard on Israel on that. I think most people realize that if there's ever a Palestinian want to have peace and they stop trying to destroy Israel, then there'll be a chunk of Jerusalem that may be given to the Palestinians. But in any case, that's something to be decided at final negotiations. Line number 7, they tell that U.S. policies are endangering U.S. troops. First of all, Senator Boshowitz used to be a senator in Minnesota, kept telling President Bush I that Israel's a metzia. It's a great bargain. I mean, you have all these U.S. troops protecting Europe and Korea, and they've never asked for one U.S. troop to defend the greatest and only democracy in the Middle East. Israel has helped America in so many ways militarily, but not only by the weapon development and enrichment, but by fighting wars against Russian troops and Russian equipment so they could test U.S. equipment against them. And General Petraeus said that he considers Israel a great strategic asset for the United States. That's the truth. Line number 8, that Israeli policies are the core of anti-Semitism. Oh yeah. Was there in Israel when Hitler decided to kill the Jews? Was there in Israel when the pogroms and the Inquisition and the blood libels and the Crusades? The world's been anti-Semitic for modern history for thousands of years. What does Israel have to do with that? In fact, before Israel, during World War II, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem organized a Muslim division for the Nazis to fight Jews. Just read the Quran. It's virulently anti-Semitic. So Israel has nothing to do with worldwide anti-Semitism. The disappearance of Israel would only embolden violent Jew haters everywhere. Line number 9, that Israel is responsible for the humanitarian catastrophe of Gaza. That is so ridiculous. Israel pulled out of Gaza and left all of their infrastructure and the great development they've had there in the past couple of decades, and immediately they pulled out. Gaza destroyed all the factories that they could have had. They've been bringing in missiles and sending 8,000 rockets to Israel. Of course, Israel has to try and stop it as best they can, but they haven't been able to. They're still smuggling in weapons every day. And if Israel gives them cement or they allow in piping, they claim for water, they turn it around and make bunkers and use it for missiles. The Human Rights Commission, so-called UN's Human Rights Commission, all they do is sanction Israel. 33 out of the last 40 resolutions have been condemning Israel, and they don't attend to any human rights abuses in Iran, North Korea, Sudan, Saudi Arabia, Cuba. Israel's and every time there's a problem in Israel, they investigate it, the Supreme Court and the police. It's the freest, most democratic country in the world. It's certainly one of them. And then you have this smear lie by this Goldstone report. Well, first of all, when he was a South African judge, read reports about how many people were hanged by that so-called judge. And then he comes and he has this vicious, one-sided, anti-Israel paper. They terrorized the Palestinians so nobody would testify about the truth of what happened in Gaza. He wanted everything televised so anybody who testified would be sure to be known and would be killed by the Hamas. It was just a blood libel, as Professor Alan Dershowitz said. And then line number 10, the only hope for peace is a single binational state, which would eliminate the Jewish state. So the Arabs can have like 22 Arab states, and there could be 65 Muslim states, and not one Jewish state in the whole world. I mean, that goes against the Bible, it goes against history, it goes against all the legal decisions of the UN and the British White Paper. They have to be, if they're going to divide the land, which is such a tiny little piece of land anyway. I mean, the Palestinians, there was never a Palestinian people. When was there a Palestinian people? But if you've got to give them this so-called people a country, so make it two countries, even splitting up a little tiny piece of land. But to have one state where there wouldn't be a Jewish state anywhere in the world, that's just another faction of aspect of anti-Semitism. So anyway, those are the final pieces of the 10 main lies they tell about Israel today.